So you've done it all. You've done the courses, you've done therapy, you've read all the books, and nothing clicks fully. Well, you're not alone. And the reason why it never ever fully brought you the expansion and the freedom and the safety is because the way we currently relate to human condition is very fragmented. For millennia, we talk about mind, body, spirit, but what does it mean exactly? In our current reality, we reinforce mind more than body, more than spirit. And it is actually a huge disservice to each and every one of us because we can't think our way out of our collective problems. Think about it. With all of the AI technology, we are facing more challenges than ever. And it's something that we have to renegotiate individually because the collective is actually the sum total of our individuated realities. So, what's the solution? It's a complicated question, but what really sets you on the path of freedom is the understanding that you get to create your own realm. And many of us do not feel that that's actually true. Why? Because we've been forced into a certain energetic compliance. One of the reasons why the power dynamic of the world is so convoluted at the moment is because most of us have internally given away our sovereignty, our power, our creative capacity to manifest. Well, you manifest everything in your life, consciously or unconsciously. Every single thing that you have or don't is an experience of manifestation. There is also another piece of that equation, which is magnetism. And magnetism is deeply affected by your energetic signature that was kind of like imprinted in you at early stages of your evolution. And the piece that is very confusing for people is that we are not just the genetic lineage. We are not just mom and dad and their cells and their identities. We're also the soul that came in from another dimension. I have four children, and each one of them is very individuated in their truth and their preferences and their expressions. So you can see how diverse we are, even though the gene pool can be pretty much the same. So what we experience as a collective, and the reason why nothing really clicks, is because all of us have endured not only physical trauma, which has become a more predominant conversation in psychology, but also the spiritual trauma. That spiritual trauma is something that we have been consistently reinforcing for the last 2000 years. And I talk a lot about the rise of the monotheistic tradition because I think it foundationally shifted the balance between masculine and feminine and made masculine a more attractive form of living and being in the world. Yet it's very much out of balance. And the goal is not to hate masculine or lead with feminine. The goal is to give yourself permission to be a whole and complete, individuated self that has full access to both aspects of your own human polarity. So we're human and we're divine. We're masculine, we're feminine. We both have those foundational energies within us. But what makes it really, really difficult is that divine has been such a far-fetched principle, such a far-fetched construct that it's almost non-reachable anymore within the traditional daily routine we experience as human beings. We have outsourced our divinity to priests, to churches, instead of restructuring ourselves back to the temple of who we are. I run modern day mystery school of magic, bringing back the traditions and the practices that we did before divinity became, a third party sitting on the cloud and judging us. When humanity walked with the divinity of it all, with the sacredness of all life, that foundational principle has been eradicated from humanity for the past 2,000 years. And in order for us to survive as species, we have to bring it back in our daily rituals, in our relational dynamic with ourselves. It is very, very important. And I don't hear a lot of people speaking about spiritual trauma or humanity. Why? Because it will give people access to inner love, inner light. It removes the systems of misogynistic oppression. So when I talk about misogyny, it's that core principle that masculine is foundationally better than feminine. And it runs in all of the cultures of the world, not all, but most cultures of the world. In China, they prefer a male child and female. Now they have scarcity of females. In India, it happens. In Africa, a woman would ration the food for girls and give more food to boys. In the United States, we don't trust our own femininity because in order to be successful, you have to perform and compete. We learn how to compete at a very early age. Like in school, pretty much, the entire school system sets us up to compete against each other. And if you ever considered where it all came from, Charles Darwin never thought that we would use his theory of the evolutionary progression of the species as a modus operandi for the Western world. The survival of the fittest was not supposed to be applicable to the humankind, yet we took it on, mapped it on our narcissistic value structures of self-promotion, and here we are in the world full of Epsteins. And it hurts us on so many levels because we realize the gravitas of the experience, but we are not sure where to go from here. And we go within. Yes, it's important to reform, but we can't find the proper way of reforming without actually sensing what's true and what's not. And humanity lost its capacity to actually sense because we've been so conditioned to think. It's time to reclaim our sixth sense, which is intuition. And intuition is your ability to read the field and make micro decisions of authentic yes and authentic no based on your truth, your awareness. Every single child has been overpowered and dominated one way or another. And I'm not talking about allowing children to roam like crazy, but there is something to be said about our own relational dynamic with our own inner children. So when I was pregnant recently with my twins, I read about this woman and she traveled to Venezuela and lived with Venezuelan tribes. And what she noticed that the children would not get harmed at all, even though they would play with machetes and it was a very dangerous, like jungle environment. And she started looking at it, and what she realized is that people don't push and pull energetically. So they don't play in the traditional drama triangle that Western world is so addicted to. And what drama triangle is that relational pattern of moving our relationships either as the victim, as a savior, or the perpetrator. And the only freedom is to step outside of it, but it's not easy to say or see because that's how we function for a very long time. So Claim Your Queendom gives you protocol how to identify where you prefer to sit in the drama triangle. And you may say, well, I prefer to save people. Well, guess what? If you're a savior, you force others to sit either in the victim or perpetrator dynamic against you because you're so vested in the real estate of the angle of the savior. It's actually not optimal. And there are ways of creating these realms that are not that toxic and not that kind of like almost bipolar, push and pull. I love you, I hate you. When we lose our ability to be centered, we become easily manipulated. And this is how social media is affecting us right now. This is how most of the deep structures of the societies around the world have been created. Fear, shame, guilt, sorrow is where the current pulse of humanity is. And my personal prayer, my personal life journey is to help humanity rise out of it because we are the legendary generation. Every human being on planet Earth right now plays a big part, and we are either going to be the legend of collective ascension or the legend of collective destruction. And each one of us chooses where we allocate our focus, where we allocate our life force. We have a lot to do with what's happening in the collective. And the reason why it's so painful is because we are living in the time of great unraveling. Dalai Lama said that Western woman is going to save the world. And I believe that those that feel that urge are here for a reason. So if it is one of you, please reach out. Thank you.